Oval chainrings. Were they doomed to fail right from the very start, or was there a glimmer of hope that they could be the key to unlocking a godlike pedaling technique? Well, I'm going to dive deep into the history of this highly controversial bike component. A few years back, they were all of the rage and said to be the next big thing, but today their popularity has dramatically faded. But why? Were they a technical failure or simply a passing fad? First, we need to rewind, because oval chainrings have actually been around for a very long time. Most recently with the brand Rotor and their Q rings, and then in the 80s and 90s you had Shimano's Biopace rings, and then before that, oval chainrings were used as far back as the 1890s. Along the way, designs have been refined and tweaked, but the claimed advantages have remained fairly consistent. They're said to have provided a smoother, more efficient pedaling stroke, and the idea was simple, that by altering the shape of the chainring from round to oval, the rider would experience a more efficient transfer of power through the entire pedal stroke, theoretically reducing the dead spot, which is the points in your pedal stroke where the power is typically lower, and this is often the top and the bottom of the pedaling motion. Now on paper, this sounds amazing, but we need to break down the technical side of things. Now the key selling point of oval chainrings was that they supposedly matched the biomechanics of a rider's pedaling motion better than a round chainring. Now as many people know, the human pedaling motion and power delivery isn't perfectly circular, so an oval chainring aims to smooth everything out. But there was a catch. While many riders reported that the smoother feel was noticeable, the science was a little bit less convincing. Studies on the efficiency gains were always mixed, and while some riders said it felt better, there wasn't a universal consensus that oval chainrings offered a significant power boost. Now one story that I've been told from over the years is that some of the so-called power improvements were as a result of the oval chainrings impacting some Powermeter's accuracy, meaning that in the end, what was initially seen as an improvement in power was in fact just an incorrect Powermeter reading. So that's the theory and science covered, but there are also downsides to the design in other ways. Some people found them to be difficult to adjust to, especially if you were used to the predictable, consistent motion of a round chainring. It could feel quite unnatural to some riders to have a pedaling cadence that would continually fluctuate when you're shifting between gears. Shifting performance was another issue, and something that I have witnessed many times over from my days of racing. Oval chainrings can put additional stress on your drivetrain, and in certain gear combinations, the oval shape could cause the chain to shift less smoothly, which let's just say is less than ideal and could result in more frequent dropped chains. The setup was also more complicated, and riders had to adjust the positioning of their chainrings to suit their pedaling stroke in order to gain the maximum benefit. This made setting up the bike more complicated than simply fitting a round chainring and then just getting on with your life. So while the idea behind oval chainrings might have seemed promising, the actual benefits were often overhyped. The fact is that despite the initial excitement, they typically didn't live up to the promises of better performance. Now when you combine that with the issues in shifting performance and compatibility, it's no surprise that their popularity has faded over time. The peak of oval chainrings' popularity could probably be linked to famous pro riders using them, most notably Bradley Wiggins and Chris Froome. In fact, Bradley Wiggins was not only the first British rider to ever win the Tour de France, but also the first to win the Tour using oval chainrings. Now eventually he switched back to using round chainrings, but Froome went on to win the majority of his Grand Tours using oval chainrings. And as we so often see, if the pros are doing it, more often than not, amateur riders will try to copy. Now if we fast forward to today, a number of the brands that were once selling oval chainrings have now either discontinued them or shifted their focus to other innovations within the bike industry. Now in the world of pro racing, where every second or watt matters, I feel like the marginal gains promised by oval chainrings simply couldn't justify their drawbacks. So what's the takeaway here? Well, oval chainrings were an interesting concept, but they didn't quite live up to the hype. Their technical challenges, particularly with the shifting and setup, led to a steady decline in popularity. But who knows what the future holds? Maybe we'll see them make a comeback. Maybe the tech will be developed and refined more. I mean, I honestly don't know. And while I have tried them myself, I think I'm perfectly happy sticking with my round chainrings. Now that is all for this deep dive into the rise and fall of oval chainrings, and if you would like to hear more on the subject of pedaling technique from a physiological standpoint and how us as riders can make changes, well, we also have a video over on GCN where Si shares his thoughts and also talks to a professor. Well, thanks for watching. If you've ever tried oval chainrings, please do let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. And as always, don't forget to like and share this video far and wide for all your friends to see. And if you want to help support our channel, hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications. I'm out of here. See ya.